Hi, this is Kevin, and today we'll learn about modifiability tactics to help improve your software system and to make it more modifiable.
What are tactics? As I mentioned in the previous video, tactics are like simple patterns that are embedded in your system, so that when something happens, the problems are mitigated in a planned and organized manner. With modifiability, what you want is, when a change needs to happen, modifiability tactics ensure that changes to your software application occurs quickly, predictably, and on time and on budget.
The modifiability tactics I will present basically comes from the book Software Architecture in Practice by Len Bass, Paul Clemens, and Rick Kasman. In general, you can augment the modifiability of your system by 4 ways. You can reduce module size, increase cohesion, reduce coupling, and defer binding. Let's check it out.
First, reduce module size. This means that if you can choose between having one large block of code and having many small blocks of code, you should choose the latter. Yikes! It's typically hard to understand and modify code that's all contained in one module. It's hard to look at, too. It's likely the code has a lot of interconnections and requires quite a bit of refactoring. Cohesion is about how focused the responsibilities of a given module or class are. The more focused each individual module of code is, the more cohesive. A class that only does one thing is the most cohesive of all and is likely to be coupled or dependent on very few other classes. You can increase cohesion by increasing semantic cohesion. So what this means is, if you have 2 modules, A and B, that do similar things and likely change together, then they should probably be placed in the same module. Here's an example of a class that represents Voltron and a lion. As you can see, there's potential for a code refactor here. Mainly when you increase cohesion, you're talking about refactoring code. So now I have refactored the Voltron class and the lion class to inherit a machine class that can shoot lasers. I've also placed the lasers as a separate class. Reduce coupling. Another way to improve modifiability is to reduce the coupling in your code. If your application has a high amount of coupling, that means that each module is coupled to something else. Say your application has 3 modules, red, yellow, and green. So as you can see, if you were to change one module like this yellow one, it would be difficult because you'd need to check and make sure that the other modules that connect to it are not affected. If the coupling is reduced, like this, then it makes modifying code easier because you would only need to modify and test fewer connections between modules. Here's an example of 2 classes that are tightly coupled. Calling the buy something method calls the here's the item method, which calls the can you pay for it. There are a lot of connections that go back and forth here. How can we fix it? Well, one way to fix it is to first decouple the customer and employee classes and put all of the logic of buying, here's the item, you can pay for it, all in one class, thereby increasing cohesion. And now you can remove all the bindings between the customer class and the employee class, thereby decoupling the 2 classes. Now you can put stuff related to the customer in the customer class and put stuff related to the employee into the employee class. Defer binding is another way to improve software modifiability. What that means is that if possible, decisions should be made at the last moment after the application is running. What this means is that libraries and components should not be loaded into the system until it is really needed. This also means that configuration information should be used when possible, instead of hard-coding values. And yes, that is an image of PHP code. I couldn't find a snazzy image about configuration files. Just let it go.
Modifiability is an important quality attribute. It helps us make modifications on time and on budget. And it helps reduce tech debt. Well, that's all I have on modifiability. I hope to see some modifiable software architectures out there. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I hope you had a good day, and I'll see you in a future video.